I'm going to tell you how to guarantee you have a more relaxing and enjoyable cruise vacation every single time. How? By avoiding the 5 things I see passengers repeatedly doing wrong on every single cruise I've been on for the last 10 years. I'm going to tell you what they are, how to spot if you're doing them, and what to do if you are doing any of them. If you're new here, welcome aboard. I'm Gary Bembridge and I'm here to make it fun and easy to discover, plan and enjoy unforgettable cruise vacations. On my last Holland America Caribbean cruise, which I loved, I met a delightful young newlywed couple who were in their early 20s, I'd say, and they were on their very first cruise. They were having a miserable time. They weren't surrounded by people like them, they couldn't party like they wanted, and said they didn't feel catered for. It reminded me of when I was having another great time on a Cunard Queen Mary 2 cruise out of Sydney. I met an Australian family there who were also going crazy as they said there wasn't anything they liked to do on board. Of course, the focus of a Cunard ship is on enrichment lectures, on formal nights, but they wanted pool deck frolics, they wanted belly flop competitions, drinking games, big disco parties that go on late into the night, like they'd had on their last cruise on Carnival. They hated wearing a jacket for all of the dinners. They told me, in fact, they were so bored, they were actually considering leaving halfway through the cruise and flying home. Virtually every discontented passenger that I meet on cruises agree with me that the big thing they did wrong was choosing the wrong cruise line. So why, in fact, do people make the mistake of going on the wrong cruise line for them? Most agree it's because they booked their cruise based on deals or prices and not thinking about what was absolutely important to them. That was the case, for example, both the young couple and the Australian family. They'd seen great deals and leapt onto them. It's really important to focus on what is important to you first and then see how you can get that for the best price or the best value. So one trick I like to use, for example, is find copies of the daily program online for any cruise line that I've not been on before. That gives me an amazing insight into what I'm going to find out on board. Of course, there's online reviews, there's YouTube videos like this, there's using a travel agent to check the line is right. They all make sense too. But once you find a line that works for you, there is still another thing I did that I should not have, and I see many other people's doing as well. So when I started cruising, I used only one line, which was P&O Cruises. As that was my first line, it worked just fine for me. I had no issues. It's what I thought cruising should be. So after many P&O Cruises, I actually went on Cunard only because I wanted to do one of their famous transatlantic crossings. That was a revelation. It was an eye-opener. I saw so many differences on the ship and in how things were being done. There were so many more things that I enjoyed, much more than I did on P&O, and I found that Cunard met my needs even better. And so then I started only doing Cunard cruises for the next few years. However, I was repeating that exact same mistake I made with P&O. I didn't keep looking to see if another line was even better than Cunard in meeting my needs. Now, the thing that actually opened my eyes to this was actually this channel, because I felt, of course, I needed to cover many other lines, and so I started trying them. I quickly found out that so many more lines suit me. So now when I book a cruise, I first review what is important to me at that particular time, and then I ask which line currently best meets that. With lines and ships constantly introducing new features, new facilities, it could be a line that I've not tried before. But next, I then dive deeper to see if that particular line or lines has the best itinerary in the destination I'm going to. For example, although many lines meet my needs to cruise in Alaska, I tend to book either Holland America or Princess because they've been there longer, they get better berths, they get into Glacier Bay, they own their own inland resorts for pre and post stays. In the Caribbean, I like to cruise on a line like, say, Oceania, on smaller ships because they call into smaller ports and I don't have to navigate all the crowds that are on the bigger ships that sail in the Caribbean. You should always make sure you're on a cruise line that is right for you first. But then once you find one, don't make the mistake like I did of not constantly revisiting my options, as I did with P&O and then I did with Cunard. But once you've found the right line, don't further mess things up by being pressured into doing this very next thing, something that I'm maybe a little bit guilty of. I asked one lady on my last cruise how her cruise was going, and she said, "It's a nightmare. We're cruising with my mother-in-law and she's driving me crazy." A few days later, I started talking to a guy on deck, and when I asked how his cruise was going, he said they were traveling with a couple for the first time. They were their next door neighbors. It was also driving him nuts because the other couple insisted on doing everything together: dining, going for drinks, to the shows, go on the same excursions, sitting by them at the pool, and on and on and on. I met an extended family group traveling together that seemed to be having a great time from the outside. That was not the case, I found, when one of the younger guys in the group told me this was his least enjoyable cruise ever, because there was a constant battle around what they were all going to do and when, and then trying to balance out and satisfy everyone was proving challenging. And although, he and his girlfriend wanted some time to themselves, they felt they couldn't do that without it causing a fuss and offense. These encounters did get me thinking. Once a year, my partner and I take our mothers on a cruise. It dawned on me that those mum cruises we approach differently to when we cruise as a couple, or certainly when I even cruise by myself. The mum cruises are all structured around where they want to go, what they want to do, when they want to do it, and not we want. Now, I don't resent that, and we take them because they love it so much, but we do see and structure these trips as different, and we make compromises with them as a priority willingly. To make trips with friends and family work, you should absolutely insist on having a good and open discussion before you go, as difficult as that probably is going to be. But you do need to agree how things will work, how decisions about what you do will be made, how much you will do together, and any other kind of ground rules that you need. I realize we actually do that with our mothers before our trips, and it's much better to do it before you go than having that tension and resentment build that I saw in those other people I spoke that was actually getting in their way of having an otherwise great cruise. Being well prepared in other ways before a cruise can also help avoid the next thing that I see going wrong too. When I met Fran on a Mediterranean cruise, she was disappointed with how her cruise was playing out, as she couldn't go ashore on the shore excursions she wanted to, and was missing out on seeing and doing lots of the things she wanted to. She told me she hadn't really understood what was included and not included on a cruise. And it was only once on board that she realized that gratuities were being added to her account, that she had to pay for drinks, that the Wi-Fi she needed desperately and so was essential was also a cost. So her budget for excursions was blown, and she ended up losing out on seeing the things she actually came on the cruise for. Now, I probably, to be honest, didn't help, because I also pointed out she had, on the other hand, missed out on some of the things that she hadn't realized were included, like ice cream at the pool, pizza in a restaurant she just assumed had a charge because others did, the shuttle bus into town even. So she had made the cardinal mistake of not researching her cruise fully, and especially what was and was not included. But even as a regular traveler, I keep checking every single cruise, as it keeps changing as lines keep adding and removing items, especially from the included and the exclusion lists. And then even what's included often differs based on the grade I book. So for example, on Celebrity, a classic drink package and standard Wi-Fi was included for a booking I made for one cruise in a standard cabin, but in a suite I booked on another, it had premium drinks package and the fast streaming Wi-Fi included. Not researching, checking out, and exploring everything available and in detail is a mistake that's easily made. But as one channel follower said to me, bloggers and vloggers like me help enormously, because passengers, in fact like me even, have multiple ship tours, tips and advice videos and articles that get into the nitty-gritty. So there's lots and lots of help to avoid making this mistake that I saw people like Fran making. Many of the cruises I did as cruising shutdown eased were cruises to nowhere with no ports to work around the various rules and regulations. And so I got, not surprisingly, into numerous discussions on those trips about the merits, the pros and cons of sea days. And this actually revealed something that I'd not probably fully thought about before. It was best summed up by Frank, who I met on my Viking Venus cruise. Now, he said when he started cruising, the mistake he made was thinking that every single day of a cruise must have a port in it. After a few cruises, he realized that was tiring. He wasn't chilling out and he wasn't getting to enjoy all that the ship has to offer and do. Now, he tries to book a cruise that has a sea day or two because it builds in time to relax, unwind, and take advantage of all those things you might have discovered that are available on the ship that you won't have time to do otherwise. So many people since then have also said to me, once they got into the hang of cruising, as it were, they now always choose cruise itineraries that include sea days, 1 or 2, because they just have a much better, much chilled, much more relaxing vacation. Pace yourself. Breathe a little bit, relax a little bit more, and don't make the mistake of thinking that a sea day is a wasted day. It could actually add to your overall enjoyment of your actual vacation. If you want to know what very experienced cruise passengers told me they do to ensure an unforgettable cruise vacation, watch this video where I start with the single most important thing that they do. See you over there.